Hi, everybody who's watching. This is Mussi Diskin here, advanced trainer for the Nurtured Heart approach. And as I said in all of my recordings, I just love connecting with like-minded, like-hearted people and just chatting and letting it flow because I gain so much from it. And hopefully you will get something out of it too. So today I am chatting with Richard Berger, who I have never met. So you're going to meet him with me. And so this is going to be fun. So Richard, tell us about yourself.
Okay, yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you. I haven't met you before either, so this should be a lot of fun today. So I am a marriage and family therapist, been in practice about 14 years. I'm kind of trauma trained. I was the only intern working at a domestic violence shelter, New Beginnings in Seattle. And I was the only male provider, and I was really surprised that they actually picked me to intern. And the things that I witnessed and the things that I saw there really led me to Nurtured Heart. The parenting piece, was that they had was kind of very rigid, and it really wasn't developing people to find kind of their inner greatness that got lost in their experiences with domestic violence. And so then I in 2009, went to Tucson and got trained by Howard Glasser, and kind of the rest is history. And I just love and embody, the concepts of the Nurture Heart approach. And especially kind of in the context of a Jewish world, we all have btzelem Elokim, right? And everybody has that. Nobody gets less or more than anybody else. And, when I think about the concepts of reset, that's what we're resetting to. We're resetting to our btzelem Elokim, to our greatness, right? Because we either live out of that or we live out of our humanness, which is worry, misery, doubt, all those things. And so it was uncovering that for myself and uncovering that and, kind of resetting that back to, because it gets lost, especially in a domestic violence situation. And it gives them something to try on. I kind of like a fitting room, they have this false core limiting belief that they learn through their experiences that they're not great, that there's something wrong with them, that they're broken. And then we can say, oh, well, I just saw you do this. Broken people don't do that. How would that feel if you believed this? And you would kind of breathe that in and try it on. And sometimes it's a little wiggly, but then you can adjust the dial. And that's what I love about Nurture Heart, is that all those stands are kind of the dial adjustments to resetting back to, because if you believe in people's innate greatness, then you just go find it. I feel like, we're like a snow globe, and inside the snow globe is our btzelem Elokim. And when it's calm and you can see out other people's greatness, people can see in. And then when trauma or anxiety happens, it's like we shake up the snow globe and we can't see, and nobody can see us. And instead of understanding that if we can kind of just reset and get back to that, we start shaking it harder to make it go away.
Oh my gosh.
So so that's kind of my 2 cents of how I hold the Nurture Heart approach and just life and practice, and as a
Wow,
husband, as a father, as a therapist. Yeah.
That analogy is so powerful because it's exactly right. I remember as a preschool teacher before Nurtured Heart, although I think I naturally was aligned with a lot of Nurtured Heart, just I don't know how. Thank you, God.
Exactly.
But I remember speaking to a mentor talking about it was my first year in the classroom as the lead teacher, and I was having a lot of I had a lot of intense kids and a lot of behaviors, and I was kind of losing it. And she told me, she said, when the first time you ever get into a car and you've never driven before, and you have those two cones that seem way too tight to get through, or you're in an alley and you have the two walls and you have to get through, the knee-jerk reaction is to step on the gas and go, let's just get through it, right?
Right.
But any seasoned driver knows you don't step on the gas. You slow down, you use your mirrors, you inch, back up, inch, slow down. That's going to help you get through it. Like pause. That was something I did not know how to do. And it was huge for me, but I feel like that's what you're saying with a snow globe. Just let it settle. Just pause, slow down. Don't speed up, slow down, pause, and be quiet, and allow all of that to just kind of come down. And btzelem Elokim in English would be the image of God, that we're all created in the image of God. And that just let everything else just shh,
Yeah, because what resides there, right? That's our intuition, it's our divinity, it's knowing that things are gonna work out, it's knowing that we can sit in I don't know, right? And wouldn't that be great if, I mean, and so even, and then it's a struggle, right? Because we're human beings, so we bounce back and forth. But if you don't know that this exists and you're spending all your time driving faster down the road, you don't have a chance. And so when people are like, oh, well, I know this, why do I do that? It's because you're a human being. But but as long as you remember that you can reset to this. And then, that's I think what all the stands are all about. To get us to a place and you don't have to do anything. That's the thing I love about Nurture Heart. It's very much in the moment, right? It's just focus on what's in the moment. You don't have to go to the past, you don't have to go to the future, just what's here in front of you right now.
I would love to hear more about the domestic violence shelter that you worked in, just that experience of bringing Nurtured Heart to these people. I mean, I can't even imagine the resistance and yet the power of that transformation if and when it lands. Like, I want to hear more about that.
And that's one of the things I love about Nurture Heart is because it gives us because when you're in that, there is a lot of resistance. Like you tell somebody who's been through, a lot of trauma that, oh, look, look at what you just did, you blank, and they can't hold that, right? Because it's not even in the realm of possibility that they could be good, right? And so even in holding that, so I was working with a teen, it reminds me of a story, who I would say, well, you just did this, that tells me this about you. And week after week, I saw she was just mad. And I said, Julie, it's not her name, just in case you know Julie, that's had Nurture Heart, not her. I said, Julie, it seems like you get really mad every time I tell you something good about yourself. She goes, I don't want to hear it. I don't want you effing to tell me anything about myself. I said, okay, thanks for letting me know, but I can't help but notice. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a Post-it, and I'm going to write it down on a Post-it note, and I'm going to fill up this Ziploc bag, and you can look at it anytime you want. And she said, I'm never going to effing look at that. It was about 10 or 12 weeks. We had like 3 little quart-sized Ziploc bags with, I have these heart Post-it notes. And she kept looking at it week after week as it was getting bigger. And I think it was like 13, 14 weeks. She said, I want to look at them. And she started looking at them and just crying, right? Because she wasn't ready to hear it before. Right. And so even though you don't want to hear it, Nurture Heart gives you room to, well, I still can't. I mean, I think it was Howard or Lisa a long time ago said that you don't get to tell me how much I can love you or care about you. So I can't stop that. I can stop sharing with you, but I'm not going to stop noticing. And that's kind of how you get around some of the resistance with Nurtured Heart, because there is a lot of resistance there. And one powerful thing I just came across a few years ago, there's an organization called VIA.org. And they've done tons and tons of research. And I think they've identified 600 and something qualities of human beings. And they give you a quiz. And at the end, they give you your top 24 unique to you. And their research shows that if you didn't know you had those or you're not living out of those, your life isn't great. So Nurture Heart is beautiful in that we can give people firsthand experiences of what they're showing us. But what if they don't even know they have some of these qualities? Like, and I was just working with somebody a few weeks ago and it said humor and laughter, like was her number 3 quality. And she's in a job that she can't do that. She's in a family where she can't do that. I said, what if we find a way once a day that you can start adding this into your life? And she did. And so it's very cool that not only can we give people firsthand moments, we can help them discover some of those other qualities that may be there. And if you start kind of living out of those, you get more in touch with your btzelem Elokim, that your specific secret sauce for you to relate to the world with. So
I'm looking for a pen and I'm saying I don't have one, but VIA, I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
I have to go take the quiz.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I do it with families and like the kids and the parents. Oh, I didn't know you had that. Or yeah,
Oh my gosh,
that's so you,
cool.
And I take it every year. My qualities don't change. Sometimes the order changes, but the 24th one isn't 24th. Like it's not last because it's out of 600 and something thousand, right? And so I work with kids and families like, let's focus on the top 5, but it's all of it. That's your secret sauce scientifically that they've done research on that God gave you to relate to the world with. So
Okay, so Richard, I just want to say that I'm appreciating the conversation and I have all these thoughts that are coming up but I just want to comment on you if I can for a moment.
Sure.
Your energy, even your stories, I had chills coming up and down my whole body and got so emotional. It's so obvious that you live your life from your heart in such a deep and real way. Like, I turned on the recording and I watched myself get all professional. I watched my back go straight and I watched my voice kind of even out. And I'm now like, welcome to, and you're just like, it's pouring out of you, it's flowing out of you. And it's so real. And so there's something so smooth and warm and like accepting and just real about you. That's so powerful and so beautiful. I like that the snowflakes, they're down. Like there's no, because the humanist wants us to put on some sort of level of show or some sort of level of and I feel like you somehow have surpassed that and you're like so aligned and integrated with just who you are and being in the world. It's so beautiful. Your energy is so beautiful. And
Thank
it's
you.
just such a treat to be listening to you.
Thank you.
Really.
Nurtured Heart was my permission slip to kind of get here. It was a long journey. It was a lifelong journey of trying to find this.
Wow.
And and I'm inspired by your energy and your outgoingness to put yourself out there. I watched a lot of your lives, and this is why we do this work, right? To create that and to teach and to live out of that. So it's kind of
Wow.
beautiful.
That's so beautiful. Well, I can see why you're successful at what you do, because people aren't used to being seen by somebody who really sees them. So
And I really believe, that's one of the secret sauces of Nurtured Heart is you as a trainer, as a human being, as a mother, you stay present with the other person. And what happens in trauma is you have an event that's unresolved, and it's unresolved because you were all alone. Or the people that showed up for you didn't show up in presence and attention and energy. And just knowing that somebody's like, that girl kept coming back, even though she hated, me telling her, you know, um, and so just being present, letting somebody have for 1 hour a week control. I had one kid who we used to play Foursquare, and her mom would come to the sessions. I would two score because it was just two of us, sorry. And I could not get a point, oh, it hit the brown leaf. That's out, right? He would just make up stuff like he'd never, and his mom would be like, you can't cheat, you can't cheat. I'm like, I got it, and I would tell after, privately, I said, this child is controlled every moment of his life, right? And so it took about 4 or 5 months before I got a point, right? But it was just staying there, staying in connection, letting him have that little bit of control, and presence is really love, right? And so love is the dissolver of all that. And we're not in charge of timing. So I can't say how long it's going to take, but I know that as long as, some of the therapy I do is inchworm therapy, right? It's just, inchworm, we're inching along, but as long as there's movement, we're in the right place. And God is in charge of timing, we're not.
everything you're saying is so beautiful.
And yeah, and I just have story after story of these places where people have been in therapy a long time. And, um, I had a dad who was very discipline, right? And he wouldn't help, his son would ask him, can you pour me orange juice? And he, well, he knows how to pour his orange juice. I'm not pouring his orange juice, right? And then he was taking Nurture Heart, and he tried to start doing stuff with him, and this kid would say, leave me alone. And he would come back and say, Nurture Heart's not working. So are you listening to your child to not talk to him in the morning? Like try that for a little while, so he tried that, and he poured orange juice, and because it was an act of love, it was an act of service. Of course the kid knows how to do it. He said, well, how is he ever going to learn? I said, well, you're teaching him differently now. You came from discipline, which means punitive, but disciple means to teach. And so you always have to think about, what am I teaching in this moment? And I think it was one of Howard's quotes is, everything you do is either going to build or break relationship. And so to run that filter through your head is what I'm about to do, say, or act, going to build or break this relationship, and have that kind of be your filter. And again, we're human beings, so we're not going to be perfect at it. But again, if that could be kind of your frame, then you're going to create presence and attention and love with whoever you're in relationship with.
I'm gonna have to watch this back because I need to write a lot of things down. Everything can either build or break relationship, and to think about that. There was a little reel that I watched on Instagram of this man talking actually with his wife about how he does all these things for her and doesn't like get resentful or angry about it. And he was saying how when she asks him to, like, you know, turn on the light or get a cup of water, when she could do it just as well, you know.
Right. She's like 6 inches away, like, go get it for me, right?
What he tells himself is she's asking for love and this is how she wants the love. So I can go give her a hug, but she's not asking for a hug. The way that she wants love right now, the way she wants to feel loved is with that cup of water or that light switch. And that's so, like, hits me because my husband's love language. I'm into the love languages. I love them. I think it's such a great way to connect. It's like the time in, the juicy time in, the stand to be able to really connect another person. If you get their love language, you can give them love. You have the secret, like you're saying, secret sauce. You have the secret to just, my daughter's okay, I know I'm tangenting. That's my greatness. I tangent a lot, which makes me very interesting, and hopefully you can follow. But I could give her this, you know, nothing, just a little. But if I wrap it in a rag, you know, and I sing happy birthday, it doesn't matter if it has no meaning and there's no purpose in it. And she even knows that there's no purpose, and she even knows that that I'm just being silly. It fills her bucket. Like, she's so happy because she got a gift. It doesn't matter what. So I'm giving her a cup of water. I'm giving her dinner. And I'm like, close your eyes, surprise. And I give her dinner, and everyone else has the same dinner. But I told her surprise when I gave it to her, you know, and my other son touch. So that just means I give him his dinner and I rub his back, and he's another kid, you know, so it's so fun. But with the acts of service, wait, so let me bring myself back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, you were saying about this kid and the father, and my husband is acts of service. I am not acts of service at all. So in the beginning, it was like, no, go get your own socks, right? Like, why are you just like, oh, come on, you know? But when you can translate it as this is literally me, like, do I love them? This is me loving them. This is not me doing things for them because they can't do it for themselves. Correct. This is me showing up for them in a way that's meaningful to them. Yeah. And I'm glad I'm hearing this too, because full transparency, I have a son who's also acts of service, and it can be really hard to remember this point in the morning with the orange. I'm thinking, you said the orange juice. I'm like, oh, welcome to my life. Mommy, can you make me my yogurt? Mommy, can you pour me my cereal? Mommy, can you get me orange juice? Mommy, can you get my socks? Mommy, can you find my shirt? Mom. And it's like, can I? I mean, so anyway, but I know it's a balance. I can say no also if I can't, if I really can't, I can say no. Right. But just knowing that I am filling his little bucket, knowing that I'm showing that I love him, and knowing how much when I'm quality time, hence these conversations.
Right. Yeah.
But when I ask for quality time and it's rejected, I feel personally rejected, because to me, I'm not saying I actually am bored. I need someone to fill my life with entertainment. I'm looking for entertainment. I can go to my phone for that. Right. Yeah. I'm looking for love. I'm looking for connection. So to remember that when an acts of service person says, can you pour me some orange juice? Saying no, I could say no if boundaries, I could say no if I need to, but to just recognize that I'm rejecting their ask for love can add a little bit more incentive to push myself to pour that cup of orange juice, you know?
And it also, if you are going to reject it, to do it in a way that acknowledges what they're asking for, and that you recognize, I would love pouring orange juice for you because I know that, I know that makes you feel loved and cared for, and today I can't do it. Is it much different way than, no, I can't, I'm running out of time or whatever.
Or like, how to do it.
Right.
Come on, you're a big boy. You can do it.
Yeah.
You did it yesterday.
And the thing is, especially people coming out of trauma, is to be so kind to yourself when you have this knowledge and you don't live out of it. It's okay. You're a human being. But the difference is the drop down isn't going to be so steep. The length of time you spend down here isn't going to be so long, and the climb out isn't going to be so hard. And I think that's what happened. I mean, to bring a little Torah and just my own belief is before the tree of knowledge, we were in that place 95 to 98% of the time of spirituality and knowing, and then knowing the difference between right and wrong. That's our humanness, right? That we're going to spend time over here because we're human beings and it's okay. But you're not going to get stuck in that pattern anymore. You might have a day, you might have a week, but you're not going to live out of that anymore.
Beautiful.
And love language is so powerful, right? How powerful is that to know, well, when I do this, and and a lot of complications coming with people in trauma, I have found where all 5 love languages are like 14, 13, 12, 13, 14, 15, and you don't know actually which cup is empty at that particular time. So, oh, wow, yesterday I had work, but today it's not working because another cup. And so to remember that too, especially with people who've had not a lot of connection in their life, that they've learned to take the, a little bit fills up the cups, but they run empty a lot. And so they all kind of need, I got lucky, with some of my people that I had earlier in my life, it was all touch. So, oh, I just give somebody a hug, but then that stopped working when I didn't have those people around me. And it's like, oh, I better figure that out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just story after story after story, how, and I
That's
mean, so
beautiful.
just talking about people's innate greatness, I'm seeing this new 8-year-old on Zoom, which we only do half-hour sessions because it's too long to do an hour. And he's got a lot of anxiety, and he has this bear. Let's call him Frederick. That's not the name of the bear, but we'll call him Frederick for today. And I said, Jimmy, when you have Frederick, what do you feel? And he said, well, I feel safe. I feel loved. And I said, did he give you that? Like when you got your Frederick, is he handing you love? Is he handing you safety? Is he? And he kind of looks. He's like, I guess not. And I said, well, can you put him down for like 3 seconds and we'll just count to 3 and tell me if that stuff goes away. I said, you're feeling all those things now? I said, yes. And he put it down. And then it's like 1, 2, 3. He picked it back up. No, it didn't go away. I said, so I'm not telling you that you don't have to have Frederick, because Frederick is super important. He's powerful, right? But what if he's just knocking on the door of things that are already inside of you? And you can bring those up anytime you want. And then we left it at that. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's that seed of you are greatness. Like, I don't even have to tell you your qualities because you're finding them yourself through Frederick, right? And that maybe we don't need to be attached to something outside of us to be able to do that.
Wow, that's so powerful.
So I think, just nurtured heart or anything that's kind of in this arena is the concept. And Nurture Heart teaches different contexts, but you can make up your own context as long as you're staying within the concept. And that's what I think is so powerful about Nurture Heart, that you can, if you understand the mechanics and the foundations and what it's trying to teach, don't focus on the words that we're teaching, but focus on the concept that we're trying to get across. And you can make that your own. It's going to look different for each family with your kids, right? I have 3 teenagers. Each one is different, right? And one thing isn't going to work. One kid needs stand 1 and they can pretty much live on that, just as long as we don't go negative, we don't even have to tell them the positive qualities, right? And I have a teenager that's stand 3, they need structure, they need clarity, and then they can stay kind of in their settle snow globe. And then my middle one needs stand 2, needs to hear a lot, what did I just do? What does that show me,
You pretty much just described my kids in that order.
Yeah. So yeah, wait till they get a little bit older. I have 16, 14, and no, sorry, it's 17, 15, and 13. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's very different parenting teenagers, but I think as far as the stand 1, stand 2, and stand 3 goes, I think that's the order of my kids pretty much. It's stand 1, stand 2, and stand 3 is number 1,
Yeah.
number 2, and number 3. And I've never ever thought of it that way, but that is so brilliant. It's almost patronizing to my oldest. Obviously, okay, so it's been a journey, and at this point, we're very attuned, and I've gotten past that beginning stage of zealousness where I have to tell people their greatness, even if they don't want to hear it, and I have to say it in their face, even if they're telling me, don't say it. We've gotten past that, thank God. And now
yeah.
it's heart to heart. But I'll, telling him his greatness just to tell him feels patronizing to him, because he's like, duh, he is inner wealth.
Yeah, he knows,
He
right?
is
Yeah.
aligned with his greatness. So he's like, what's your point? Like, do you think I don't know that? Like, he's not, it's the stand one. It's when I'm reacting to his negativity that feels totally off, because I'm not seeing who he really is, but he knows who he really is. So
Yeah.
it's like, he doesn't need my stand too. He has it for himself. And that's
Yeah.
so powerful and so beautiful. And it's not that number two doesn't. She does also know her greatness, but it just, she loves it. She loves it and wants it more and more and more. And the more I give, the happier she is. And she'll just go on and on about my greatness. And, oh my goodness, mommy, you're the best mommy. And you blah, 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 blah. And I have to work
Makes
on
you a
like
beautiful
breathing
mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the flip side. You just said that, is for people to be able to take it in. Like, I know I found it first when I was doing the chart. I love giving it out, but I really had a lot of trouble kind of taking it in. It's like, oh no, that's like, nothing, whatever. And that's just as important to know how to take it in as it is to be able to give it out.
I actually did a breathing exercise with Kathleen Friend. She's an advanced trainer in the community.
Know her, yeah.
And she said, because we were doing breath work, and she was saying to count and to kind of make your inhale and exhale equal, that people who are very nurturing and outgoing oftentimes have a longer exhale than inhale. And I was focusing on that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, because it's so natural for us. And it's a beautiful quality. I mean, it's so beautiful to love to give and to want to nurture the world. Remembering that this is our first community, as Howard would say, and we have to, and tzedakah starts at home. I mean, that's a very Jewish concept.
Yeah.
Charity starts at home. So taking care of this is absolutely first, but remembering to bring it back, or to start by giving it. I have so much to give. Well, let's take care of this right here. Is unnatural. But when I had a really big moment, actually. I'll say it was one really big moment that she was going on and on about my greatness. And I just had this light switch go on in my head of like, I'm standing here waiting for her to be done so we can move on with life. Why? Like, this is a moment of connection. I don't need the inner wealth per se. I don't feel like she's responsible for my happiness, but she's offering me something. She's offering me love, and to receive it means that I'm seeing her and I'm receiving her as a person. So I stopped, and I just opened my heart, and I just started breathing it, and I started crying. It was she's 8 years old, but it was so, she was just so burst. She's just an amazing person, and she was just going and going. It was just so overwhelmingly beautiful. It was amazing to take it in. It was such a difference. And the difference in her, she looked at me and she said, Mommy, I can see that you're emotional. I can see that you're really listening, or something like that. And she felt the difference. And that's a gift to her, that she could know that her words matter,
Yeah. And so I think, one other thing that just kind of brought up for me is, especially working with the people that have been in abusive situations, whether they're witnessing it or experiencing it themselves, is that part of them that can't take in being loved, right? And so, a couple of things come to mind. One is that even the negative parts of ourselves that are beating ourselves up and telling us that we're not worthy or don't belong, it's trying to help us, right? It's trying to protect you. It's coming from a place of love, right? And so if we can remember that that's love, and what we're trying to do now is love, they don't have to be opposites. We don't have to have those parts of us be quiet, right? We can understand, oh, thank you so much for coming to help me, but we don't need to do it that way anymore, right? And so when we can't take it in, it's because there's a part of us that doesn't believe that, right? That old part of us. And so I believe that tears come from the possibility that that's not true, right? It's just such a contradiction to those things that are inside of us. It's like, oh, maybe I do belong, or maybe I am lovable, or maybe I'm not broken, right? And that's where the tears come from. And the body work that I do with that is, whenever we have feelings of beating ourselves up, go find it in your body. Right. And so, I put my hand over my heart and I breathe in. Where am I feeling it? So for me, it's kind of in my throat, in my head. and just go. And so this is the trick. Don't get your brain involved, because your brain is never going to help you, right? Because we have a thought that creates a feeling, and you're supposed to feel it. That completes the loop. But what happens is we have a thought, then we have a feeling, then we go back to thought to try to figure it out. Well, your brain is never going to let you do that, because it's the one who created the thing and to begin with. So you're asking your brain to go against itself. So your brain's never going to help you. That's my tangent, because I go on tangents too.
I love
But
it.
coming back to your body is bring all the present, all the love, all the attention to your throat and talk to it. Say, throat, thank you for bringing the pain. Because, I don't know if you've read, the body keeps score, stuff like that. So you have stuff that
Waking the tiger.
and you can do all this nurtured heart stuff, but it's not going to touch that, right? And so when you go to your body and say, thank you, throw it for showing up, thank you for giving me your pain and letting you know I'm here. That's so powerful. And I don't know if you listen to music, but James Taylor, I don't know if he's kind of an old soft rock person, but he has a song, shower the people you love with love. And I just use that song with some people, and just shower that part of your body with love and presence. Because again, love is the dissolver of all that. So if you can loosen the grip in your body, then that's going to help everything else. And so that's kind of the way I use some of the deep breath work.
I am so
Yeah.
grateful to meet you right now, Richard. I'm already thinking of all the people I need to refer to you. I'm like looking for someone like you. This is so cool. I've had somatic experiences without knowing necessarily what I was having. And I had a therapist who was extremely intuitive, and she actually told me, because I reached back to her and I said, is this what you were doing? And she was like, actually, thank you for validating that following my intuition is correct. Because she was just following her intuition with me. And I had such somatic, but reading Waking the Tiger and following a little bit of Peter Levine stuff and getting more into the somatic stuff, I recognize the power of it from my past experiences and then present, and then continuing to bring it into my nurtured heart work, into my inner wealth breathing. Is to, because Howard talks about it's all energy, and just harvesting it all, and the love that's in our nervous system protecting us. There's so much. It's art. What I hear you saying and what I relate to in that is, like, when we shut down or get angry or get triggered in order to protect us from a perceived threat, it's amazing how far we'll go. We will hurt ourselves and our relationships and each other just to keep us protected. That's how much my brain loves me. That it's going to push me so far. It will not let anything else in as long as it feels like I'm in danger, because it's going to keep me protected no matter what. It's so dedicated to me. If I can feel the intensity of the trigger, the intensity of the shutdown, the numbness, whatever it is, it's like, that's how intensely I love myself. And that is so cool. And to harvest that, I totally relate to that in the part of my body and everything. It's totally been transformative for me to go there. I feel like there's something I want to say. I don't know what it was. So maybe I should just let you talk and then let it come back to me. But I just, yes to everything.
Yeah. And so,
I do know what I was going to say.
Yeah, please.
Did I say it? Okay.
Yeah, please.
So there was actually two conversations I had, one yesterday and one the day before, where people were like, yeah, well, what's the greatness in? Because a lot of what I love to do is the inner critic work and the adult work. I try to apply nurtured heart to
that's the
ourselves and our
magic.
relationship with ourselves. And
beautiful.
I do a lot of parenting training, but what I really feel the powers in is our transformation of ourselves. So one of them was like, well, what's the greatness in anxiety, right? Like, what's the greatness in anxiety? And someone else was saying, I have all this potential and I know my greatness, but what I feel like playing small. I just don't, a part of me doesn't let me get out there. What's the greatness in playing small? And for both of them, it was the same thing, right? It was, your anxiety is there to warn you, because there's something about this that your nervous system has not yet learned is safe. And so your nervous system is protecting you from something that is a threat. So anxiety, you're here to protect me. Thank you, anxiety. Like, wow, I feel so anxious. I literally want to fall through the ground. Wow, that is so much love. It's love. That's what it is. It's like, and to reframe it that way and to just thank that part of me and be with it. And it doesn't have to, it's like it's knocking at the door, like what you were saying, well, different than what you were saying with Frederick, but that idea of knocking on the door, it's knocking on my door, and it's asking me to please hear it because there's a threat and I need you to know it and I need you to be safe. And if I'm not listening, then it needs to take a sledgehammer and bang down the door. And it needs to find me because I'm not listening. And it's not going to stop because it loves me that much. And so if I listen and I go, hello, anxiety, what are you trying to tell me? I'm listening. I hear you. And I feel the fear and I acknowledge it and I welcome it and I embrace it instead of bracing against it. Like Howard says, I'm hearing it. It doesn't have to fight so hard anymore because I've heard it. And then it speaks and I listen and I appreciate and I recognize. And like you're saying, the loop, it finishes.
Right. And that's the secret sauce. You're creating presence for that part of you that never had presence before. Right. And a lot of us think that it's coming up to beat us up. Right. Like it's what, but it's actually coming up so we can try to transcend it. Right. So we can learn to relate to it differently. Like if you put a new roof on a house, right? Don't you want it to rain? Right. And that's what this is doing. It's coming up. So, hey, here's another opportunity to try to relate to it differently.
Yeah. To even furtherly, I don't know if that's a word, furtherly connect to deeper parts of me.
Yeah. Because
that can be held and even that can be embraced.
And then life is going to throw at you sometimes too much that you don't have capacity to hold. And then when you go through that, it's like, maybe I started with a shot glass of capacity, right? And now I'm at a grande cup, but life can throw a liter bottle at me and I'm just going to overflow and I'm not going to show up in my, my best self. And so, but if as long as I don't beat myself up and say, oh, this is happening to me because I'm being punished, but to transcend, and then you're going to have a liter bottle of capacity the next time. And then, and hopefully, life won't throw you a 2-liter bottle, but if it does, it's coming up again because there's still more work to do, more healing to do.
I think ultimately, like stand one to its fullest is this idea that there is nothing negative fully, that whatever it is, I don't have to. So it's like, if I'm not ready to handle this trigger or process this because it feels too big, I don't have to open the door. It's knocking.
Correct.
I don't have to open the door. It's my choice. I can continue to be scarred or, I don't like those scarred, broken words, but I can continue to stay there if that's my choice and that's okay. And there's greatness there too, because 100%. I'm not ready yet. And when I'm ready, I'm listening to myself, I'm honoring myself and I'm honoring the fact that maybe right now I have responsibilities I need to deal with. And that's more important to me than falling apart, even though falling apart would really help me, and that's beautiful. And then when I fall apart, it's beautiful that I'm courageous and brave and vulnerable enough to do that too.
Yeah. And I think, the key there for me that I heard is that you're making the choice. Right. Like today, I'm just going to have a horrible day. I'm not going to fight to, whatever, or I'm not going to say yes to this person, but it's not the anxiety that's telling you that. You're being informed by the anxiety to make a choice, right? And so when you actually make a choice, it gives you some power, even if the choice is not good.
Scott Lindstrom talks about the onion of nurtured heart, that it keeps like unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And I feel like the very first slide or second slide that we do is intensity the enemy. That's what it is. It's like, is intensity, if it's the enemy, if anxiety is the enemy, then every time it shows up, it means I'm in danger and I need to find a way to medicate it or heal it. I must do all the somatic therapy this moment, or I must get all the medication this moment because I have anxiety still, help, But if it's not the enemy, then all right, anxiety, what's on the agenda for today? Let's go. But you're saying, it's that conscious choice, but that choice can come when it's not negative. That choice can come when it's not the enemy. Then it's like, I'm not scared of you. I'll hold your hand. Sure. Where do you want to go? I'm here to hold that too. And if we think about, okay, for my own, I don't have the education you have. I have my own personal life experience.
Well, that's
I'm honoring and I know is wonderful.
That is the best education.
The things that make me anxious, the things that make me want to play small, all of this, if I go back, is exactly like you're saying. It's times where I didn't have presence. It's times where I didn't have the security of being with someone. It was always the loneliness, the being aloneness that made it dangerous, that made it scary, that made it bad. And because my what's my greatness, and I think it's all of our greatness, is relationship, is fighting for relationship, is fighting for love, is fighting for connection. And so if playing big and taking up space is going to rip me apart from being connected with the people that I love, then it's brilliant and wise of me to learn to play small. It's
Yeah.
extremely resourceful of me to
Mhm.
learn to play small. And maybe now as an adult, I'd like to choose to love people who have room for all of me, and I don't
Yeah.
need to make myself small for them. But the fact that I learned to play small is brilliant, is
Yeah.
brilliant. And so now, I see that and I'm like, oh, that part of me that is feeling like playing small, let me go there with it. And
Yeah.
then I'm with it now, and now it's not alone. And it's
So
just
isn't that
all healing,
relationship, right?
that
So
presence, that relationship. Right. And then it doesn't
with
need
yourself, right?
exactly. And then
Yeah.
it doesn't need those other people who needed me to be small because it has me. And then it's the most empowering way of living is to
Mhm.
know that all I need is here because I'm always here with me. So I'm always okay.
Yeah. And
And
it's
being okay doesn't mean I'm okay. I'm okay with not being okay.
well, you can be okay and still be depressed and still be sad and still be not depressed, but still be frustrated, still be, but your relationship with it too is different, right? You're not relating to it as a punishment or you're stuck there. You're relating to, well, I look for congruency, right? Is it is the way you're feeling right now congruent with what's happening outside of you? And yeah, so you can be sad, you can be frustrated, you can be angry, but you're not going to live out of it the same way if you have a relationship with a part of yourself. And a lot of people, well, I can't go back there and talk to that part of myself and be with that self. That happened long ago. I said, but isn't that part of you jumping into your car of life and kicking you out of the driver's seat and driving when you get triggered? They go, yeah. I said, well, then time isn't linear for this work, right? So why can't you of today go back there and they won't know the difference either, just like they come, to you
Do you know
today.
the Disney movie, The Kid?
Yeah. Oh,
That's like the best movie. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. And I know that we probably will have a religious audience that maybe doesn't watch movies or secular media, but I will just say that if there's one movie you should watch, you should watch The Kid, because that is so powerful, that kid coming up, the inner child or whatever. And Howard says, then everything we need to know is in the now. And I think that's just in everything. That's
Mhm.
in Judaism as well. But this idea of the here and now is everything. Yeah, if it's here now, then it's not then, it's now,
Correct. Yeah,
and that's
it's still
so
alive.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that part of you didn't learn to be in relationship, doesn't trust relationship, the most powerful thing you can do is be present for that part. And then the cherry on top is go find it in your body. That's all I always tell people. Just
Yeah.
breathe and go find it what's living in your body and just bring that all the love and nurturing and everything you can do.
Yeah.
But this has been it's been so long, but it's been so powerful
Yeah.
and I just you're embodied with this too, and it just brings joy to my heart to watch you kind of just come alive and that part of you that knows this work is powerful.
Yes, this has been a really big gift. And I want to do another one to hear more stories, Richard. Maybe story time with Richard. Your stories are
Okay,
so
we could do
wonderful.
that. Yeah, I've got. I mean, so many came up. I was just kind of picking the ones that were kind of relevant to what we're talking about. But
I
yeah,
mean, it's so the storytelling is so powerful because we find ourselves in the stories, and it opens up possibilities of, what we didn't know was possible. So yeah, it's amazing.
yeah,
Well, thank you for this gift of time together.
yeah. Thank you for
I'm
saying
thanking
yes.
you on behalf of all the people that are going to watch this too, because this has been such a gift to meet you and to hear from your heart. So
It's been a gift for me as well. So thank you.
you're welcome. Now I need to use my technological proness to turn off the recording.